Who was the first woman judge of the International Court of Justice? Dame Rosalind Higgins. Which case is related to live streaming of the proceedings of Supreme Court? Swapnil Tripathi vs. Supreme Court of India. 2018. Which judgment of the Supreme Court in 1992 upheld OBC reservations while separating the creamy layer? Indira Sane vs. Union of India. Which Chief Justice of India had the shortest tenure in office? Justice K.N. Singh. 17 days. Which Chief Justice of India had the longest tenure in office? Late Honorable Justice Y.V. Chandrachud, 2696 days. What is the minimum number of judges in a constitutional bench? 5. A lawyer appointed by the court to assist is known as amicus curiae. Untouchability is abolished and its practice in any form is forbidden under which article of the Indian Constitution? Article 17. Which was the largest bench of the Supreme Court ever constituted? 13 judges bench for Keshwananda Bharti vs. State of Kerala case. 1973. The Supreme Court held that election commissioners cannot be placed on par with the Chief Election Commissioner in terms of power and authority, in which case? S.S. Dhanno vs. Union of India, 1991. Who is considered as father of Indian Evidence Act? James Stephen. Financial emergency may be declared by the President under which article of Indian Constitution? Article 360. What is the maximum number of judges, including the Chief Justice, allowed in the Supreme Court as of 2024? 34. Under the new Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, what is the maximum time frame for filing charge sheet in criminal cases? 180 days. Which article of the Constitution states that there shall be a Supreme Court of India? Article 124. Which article in the Constitution of India relates to the adjudication of disputes relating to waters of interstate rivers or river valleys? Article 262. What protects the intellectual property created by artists and inventors? Copyright and patents respectively. The concurrent list was described as a twilight zone, as it were, for both the Union and the states are competent to legislate in this field without coming into conflict, is stated by whom? M.V. Pyle. In which case the Supreme Court observed that labour taken from prisoners without paying proper remunerations comes within forced labour? Dina vs. Union of India. In which case, the notification of 4th March 2014 regarding Jat reservation was set aside? Ram Singh vs. Union of India. Article 368, 4, that is, no amendment to the Constitution can be questioned in court on any ground, inserted by the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, 1976 was declared as invalid by the Supreme Court, in which case? Minerva Mills vs. Union of India. In most countries, how long does copyright and patents last for? 50 years and 20 years respectively. How long did it take to complete the Constitution of India? 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. In which case the Supreme Court held that the preamble is not the part of the Constitution? Berubri case, 1960. In which case the Supreme Court has held that preamble is the part of the Constitution? Keshwanand Bharti's case, 1973. Andaman and Nicobar Islands come under the jurisdiction of which High Court? Calcutta High Court. Which is the largest committee of Parliament of India? Estimates Committee. What is the Sharda Act associated with? Child marriage. Which provision of Constitution recognizes right of accused to remain silent? Article 20. Which act is popularly known as umbrella legislation? The Environmental Protection Act, 1986. In which case, the Supreme Court recognized transgender persons as a third gender? National Legal Services Authority vs. Union of India, 2014. When was the first ever public interest litigation filed? Husainara Khatun vs. State of Bihar, 1979. Article 24 of the Constitution prohibits employment of children in any factory or mine or in any hazardous employment below the age of 14 years. Precedence rule given under Article 356 remains valid in a state for the maximum period of 3 years. In which judgment of the Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court of India, the rarest of rare principle in the award of death penalty was first laid down? Bachan Singh vs. State of Punjab, 1980. In which landmark judgment did the Supreme Court of India lay down guidelines against sexual harassment of women at workplace? Vishaka vs. State of Rajasthan, 1997. Which article makes Hindi in Devanagari script as the official language of the Union? Article 343. 1. In which case, the Supreme Court of India articulated the right to speedy trial? Husainara Khatun vs. Home Secretary, State of Bihar, 1979. Which article in the Constitution of India relate to the power of the President to grant pardons etc. and to suspend, remit or commute sentences in certain cases? Article 72. Which law prescribed that all proceedings in the Supreme Court shall be in the English language? Article 348 of the Constitution of India. In which case did the Supreme Court allow passive euthanasia, withdrawing treatment to allow a patient to die, under exceptional circumstances? Aruna Shanbog vs. Union of India, 2011. In which case compensation was first time awarded for violation of fundamental rights? Rudalsa vs. State of Bihar, 1983. Which case is known as habeas corpus case? ADM Jabalpur vs. Shivkant Shukla, Supreme Court, 1976. Which provision of the Constitution of India is incorporated the principle of collective responsibility of the Council of Ministers? Article 75, 3. Which lawyer argued the Kulbhushan Singh Jadhav case in the International Court of Justice? Harish Salve. The words socialist and secular were added to the preamble of the Constitution by which amendment? 42nd Amendment, 1976. In which case did the Supreme Court for the first time lay down that fundamental rights have primacy over the directive principles of state policy? Golaknath case, 1967. When a proclamation of emergency is in operation, the right to move a court for the enforcement of all fundamental rights remains suspended, except which articles? Article 20 and 21, right to life and personal liberty. Which article of the Constitution of India guarantees citizens the right to settle in any part of the territory of India? Article 19, 1e. In which case, the Supreme Court with 9 members constitutional bench declared that the right to privacy is now a fundamental right? Justice K. S. Pattaswamy, retired, versus Union of India, 2017. Which article of Constitution of India protects a person against double jeopardy, prosecution or punishment of a person twice for the same offence? Article 20. In which article it is written that this constitution may be called the Constitution of India? Article 393. Which case upheld secularism as a basic feature of the Indian Constitution even before the word secular was inserted in the preamble? Keswananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, 1973. The state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age of 6 to 14 years in such manner as the state may, by law, determine, provides in which article? Article 21A. Which amendment to the Constitution of India introduced reservation in education and in public employment for people from the economically weaker sections, EWS, of society? 103rd Amendment. In which case did the Supreme Court direct the compulsory registration of all marriages in India? Seema versus Ashwani Kumar, 2006. Equality before the law or equal protection of the laws within the territory of India is guaranteed under which article of the Constitution of India? Article 14. The provision, the state shall take steps to separate the judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state, is incorporated in which part of the Constitution of India? Part 4. In which case the Supreme Court upheld a citizen's right to negative voting? People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India, 2013. What is the maximum time limit for filing of a complaint before the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum from the date when the cause of action arises? 2 years. Which article of the Constitution of India requires the Prime Minister of India to furnish information related to decisions of the Council of Ministers to the President of India? Article 78. In which decision the Supreme Court framed guidelines for safeguarding the interest of the death row convicts? Shatrughan Chauhan versus Union of India, 2013. The right to education was added to the fundamental rights in the Constitution through which amendment? 86th Amendment, 2002. The law declared by the Supreme Court becomes law of the land as per which article? Article 141. Who is given discretionary powers under the 5th schedule of the Constitution of India to set up a tribes advisory council in a state which has scheduled tribes but not scheduled areas? President of India. In which case, it was held for the first time by the Supreme Court of India that judicial review is a basic feature of the Constitution? L. Chandra Kumar versus Union of India, 1997. in which case, the constitutional validity of the Muslim Women, Protection of Rights of Divorce, Act 1986, was upheld by the Supreme Court. Daniel Latifi vs. Union of India, 1973. In which year Indian Wildlife Protection Act was enacted? 1972. Which schedule of the Wildlife Protection Act includes animals that are critically endangered? Schedule 1. Which section of the Wildlife Protection Act, 1972 protects the actions of the officers or other employees of the central government or state government taken in good faith? Section 60. Which chapter of the Wildlife Protection Act, 1972 deals with the protection of specified plants? Chapter 3A. In which forum it is compulsory to have a female member in district, state and national commission? Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, CDRF. What is the maximum time limit for filing of a complaint before the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum from the date when the cause of action arises? 2 years. What is the fiscal jurisdiction of the CDRF District State Nation Commission? District Commission up to 1 crores, State Commission 1 CR to 10 crores and National Commission above 10 crores. In case any party is not satisfied with National Commission decision, in how many days the party can appeal to the Supreme Court? 30 days. When was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted by United Nations Organization? 10th December 1948. When was the National Human Rights Commission established in India? 12th October 1993. In which year, the Declaration of the Rights of the Child passed by the United Nations? 1959. Who is the author of the book, Human Rights and Inhuman Wrongs? Justice V. R. Krishna Iyer. Which article of the Indian Constitution prohibits hazardous jobs to children under 14 years? Article 24. In which case did Supreme Court issue directions for playing national anthem in all cinema halls before start of feature film and making mandatory for all in hall to stand up and show respect to national anthem? Shyam Naren Chokse vs. Union of India, 2018. Janta government, in 1977, appointed which committee on Panchayati Raj institutions? Ashok Mehta Committee. Services provided by medical professionals comes within the ambit of Consumer Protection Act, 1986 in which case? Indian Medical Association vs. VP Shanta. In which article, right to education, RTE, is guaranteed in India? Article 21A. Article 39 of the Constitution of India deals with free legal aid. Under which section of SC and ST Prevention of Atrocities Act, 1989, anticipatory bail is prohibited? Section 18. The United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities came into force in which year? 2009. Who was the legal advisor to the Constituent Assembly? B.N. Rao. Which section talks about fabrication of false evidence under the new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, 2023 that corresponds with the Indian Penal Code, 1860? Section 228. Procuration of child is defined under which section of BNS, 2023? Section 96. For how many years a person has to be a High Court judge to become a Supreme Court judge? 5 years. The directive principles of state policy are enshrined in which part of the Indian Constitution? Part 4. Indian Arms Act, 1959 came into force from which date? 1st October 1962. Under which article of the Constitution Parliament can form a new state? Article 3. Union of India or any state may sue or be sued according to which article of the Indian Constitution? Article 300. Which parliament is considered to be the mother of parliament? Parliament of the United Kingdom. What is the maximum penalty stipulated in the new Indian Telecom law for unsolicited messaging to users? 50,000 rupees. Thanks for watching Speed GK YouTube channel. Please support our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe and also please share this video with your friends. Thank you.